If you're someone who knows it's time to put the phone down and be present, with your family or in the outdoors, this one's for you. Whether your escape is the golf course, the water, or the field, Hook and Gaff Watch Company makes watches built for time that actually matters. Assembled right here in the Carolinas, Hook and Gaff watches feature scratch-resistant sapphire crystal, lightweight titanium, and rugged designs made to handle real adventure without sacrificing style, because performance should look good too. Strap on a Hook and Gaff watch and get back to what matters most. Hook and Gaff Watch Company. Time well spent. Fellas, we're back.
Hello.
Another episode of For Love of Golf. We got the whole crew here. I mean, some of us are just at our house. Everybody else is on some fancy golf course. Hunter's trying to rub everybody's noses in the golf courses he's played.
Yep.
Typical.
I had to match the shirt and the hat too.
Typical. Well, since
Yeah.
showed us last week,
Yes.
you had to wear your Cypress Point hat because
Exactly.
Jay Bozzi's favorite course in the world is Cypress Point. So nod to Jay. Hunter's the only one that could truly wear that hat.
You are colloquially known as America's guest, so I think you've done a pretty good job
Well,
on
that's
going
only
to the other place.
that's only because you take me places. I
Yeah,
never
it's true.
played Kinlock.
It's true.
Nope.
No, you didn't.
Nope.
That
Never.
picture behind Justin right now, you've played several times.
I have.
That's true. I left this up there for you, Hunter. I said I was going to change the background every week, but since you weren't here last week, I kept this one up.
Appreciate that. That's a diabolical green. Tiger Woods made an 8 on that hole. So it's pretty famous little hole.
Wow.
And route one of my favorite stats, by the way, ever about that's the honors course for those of you do not know. Tiger Woods won the NCAA championship there in 96. The winning team score that week was 32 over. Tiger shot 69, 67, 69, 81, and won by 3 over Rory Sabatini, which is a cool little like side note there.
That is.
Can you imagine shooting 80? I think it was 80 or 81 in the last round and still winning by 3. Pretty good.
I bet he was ticked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he wanted to
probably
win
about
by 15.
I'd like to ask that question. Like, is that the maddest you've been after a win when you shot 81 in the final round to do it and just back up to the field, just choking your guts out, coming down 18 at the honors?
I was playing with Kip Henley one time, caddy on the PGA Tour.
Oh, name drop.
Name drop, right?
How about Big Break?
Yeah, or Big Break. There you go. But he asked Tiger one time, or Tiger asked him one time, just like, "Hey, where are you from?" And he said Ottawa. And he's like, "What? Well, I know that town. Why do I know that town?" And he told him, like, "Yeah, that's where the honors course is." And Tiger goes, "I'll bleep it out, but that's the hardest bleeping golf course I think I've ever played." So
it is so hard. Like every time I've played there, I just feel like I just get kicked in the teeth. Like I've never played well there. I don't feel like
it's not easy to play there. And I think back then, especially, it used to be ridiculously hard. Now it's.
I was going to say, I think they've adapted it a little to members and had to do some changes to it, but it's still very hard.
Still very hard, is right.
Well, I mean, not to go negative, but if anybody's listening, I haven't played it since the renovation. So
just throwing it out there.
I can't speak on. I mean, for all we know, they could have ruined the place. Who knows?
Sounds like you'd like to find out for yourself.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, thanks.
Trust me, it's fine. You don't need it.
Trust me, it's all good. The fish are still biting.
Yeah,
the golf course is still hard.
Every time he goes out there, he's already got 3.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what he had when he went to Cyprus, believe it or not.
Literally, we got paired up with another guest of a member because we only had 3.
Sorry, who goes to Cyprus and goes as a threesome? How do you waste that spot? That's the most selfish thing I think I've ever heard.
That's all we got to prove.
Golf related.
That's right.
Hey guys, I'm going to Augusta. You want to bring some buddies? I'll take you. Nah, I really don't. I think I'm good. I'll just come with you. I don't need to bring anybody.
That's how that conversation went.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's great to have you back, Hunter.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I hope you're feeling better.
I am. Thank you. Yeah, a lot better now.
So we had the WM Phoenix Open last week, which became downright exciting.
Yeah.
After a little while, Justin's gonna probably claim some things that he knew who was gonna win and all that kind of stuff, foreshadowing. But Chris Gotterup, another W, but he did not go wire to wire.
Nope.
However, I didn't see that coming. I thought at one point it looked like Thorbjornsen was gonna win. And then I left to go do something and I look back and he like wasn't even really that close. I don't even
He
know
finished
what he
one
did.
back. He finished one
But
back, but
what did he made, where
He,
did he,
he bogeyed 16, 17.
that's what it was. Did he hit it
yeah.
in the water on 17?
I believe so.
Mm, that's a bummer. What a
Well,
great hole.
why don't you let Justin pick this week since he feels slighted first?
Well, are you talking about on our one and done picks?
Yeah, or does it matter who picks
I
first? It kind of matters.
it doesn't. You can
Doesn't
pick the
matter.
same
Okay,
people. You can
I
pick the
gotcha.
same people, but you can only pick the same person one time.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So, does anybody have anything they want to complain about last week before we get to our picks? Because we didn't actually go through with the picks last week. So go
Uh,
ahead and get your tears out here in front of everybody publicly.
let's just say that if we had done our picks for real, I would have been 1 for 1 in picking the winner.
But you would also have been no more Goddard up the rest of the year. Although if you're gonna pick him while he's on this humongous heater right now.
That is true. I mean, he played well again today, so
true.
You can pick him
uh,
again. He could go back
Yeah.
to
could
back.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
could.
Let's put your money where your mouth is, Fabling. Is that your pick? No, we're not there yet. Save it. Save it. Um. Anyway, I mean, waste management. Does anybody have anything to say? I mean, it was a crazy tournament. I thought. I think it's a great. It's just one of the best events. Not really my personal like I would love to play there. I'm not gonna like that's not really my like atmosphere as far as like that's not what I feel like makes a great golf tournament. It's like all these people just going crazy. But I think from a player's perspective, I'd rather play it than like go attend it, I think. I think it's just a really cool like one-off deal and there's probably other tournaments that kind of want to do a similar thing, but nobody really does it like they do it out there, and it produces every year. I feel like it's a great tournament every year, and the names that win it are big names, and the golf course I think people really like.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I didn't watch a ton of it. It was funny to see the chipping issues that people were having was pretty wild. It
That was interesting.
makes you feel better as a normal human being when you do that kind of stuff, and they're not immune to it either. And then just hilariously from my point of view, the armchair quarterbacking of these guys have the wrong technique and not good skill. They don't know what they're doing from Instagram coaches is incredible too. Just I'm gonna say like that stuff makes me laugh for sure, makes me giggle. So that was entertaining. Even though I didn't watch a ton of the golf, that I got to see it consume some sort of content from it, and it was entertaining for sure.
Well, something's going on when like all of a sudden multiple guys just like can't get it on the green from 5 yards off or something. You know what I mean? There's
For
something
sure.
weird with the overseed and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Any thoughts on last week? WM?
Just feel bad for Hideki a little bit, but you know, they're professionals and they got to step up and hit a shot, even if I mean his stop on his downswing was like Tiger-esque. I haven't seen that in a long time. It hurt me watching him do that. So kudos to him for resetting. Unfortunately, he still dunked it, but that's a tough situation. Shouldn't take away from Goddard up and what he birdied three the last four holes and the playoff hole. Um, so he may have won it anyway, but it's a tough situation for Hideki, but made for entertaining TV.
Thanks, Fabling.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you add to a comment like that? I mean, it's just perfect.
There's nothing I can add.
He
I,
clearly watched
I,
a lot of
I picked the winner. That's all I have to say.
it.
Oh, that's great. Well, we move on. It was a great event. Fabling semi won last week. We'll give him a fake trophy. However, we're moving to Pebble.
Yep. Round one in the books.
Round one in the books. Is it President's Cup week this week? I mean, President's Cup. President's Day. We're not quite to the President's Cup yet. See, I got my Medina stuff. So I'm still mad at
Well, and
Justin for
also
never taking me up there.
yeah, also the captain up there too. Not that he's the captain for the President's Cup, but the Ryder Cup captain playing well on it too. It's probably made you think of it.
Possibly. It's President's Day weekend.
Yeah, I was wondering if this tournament finished on President's Day, but obviously if it started today, it has not. But I did see our trusty sponsor, Cricket, has a President's Day sale. But if you missed that one, hopefully we're trying to get a code here for you guys, any listeners that are interested in getting some of this sweet swag that we've got on today. We're going to get a code for all you listeners if you weren't able to take advantage of their President's Day sale this weekend.
Exactly.
You can get the green shirt I'm rocking, just not the green hat.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow. Just thrown in the face of everybody. Not just us anymore.
Yeah,
You can deal with that. I'm telling you, there's some sharp looking fellows right there on the website there.
yeah.
I mean, we can get into genetics later and the controversy surrounding my great 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 grandfather somewhere down the line, allegedly, something to that effect, Abraham Lincoln.
You got a lot in common with him. Height, honesty, like all of that stuff. Like
I'm trying to go with the
A
beard.
solid beard.
I gotta
Yeah.
shave the. I should do that for Halloween, honestly, one year. That'd be great.
just go full chin strap. I think you would look pretty good with
Dude, I'm starting to like it.
that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't hide genetics. JFK on there, but yeah, go check it out. There's if you can retroactively go back in time and get 25% off for the President's Day sale after you hear this podcast, more power to you. Tell us how you did it. Would love to know how you worked that out. But
We'll see if we can pull some strings and get them to
yeah,
extend it.
if you missed it, we will work on getting you For Love of Golf coupon code. Again, like Hunter or someone on this podcast said, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Justin, that you too can look this good.
It's all right.
So
Justin lets the clothes speak for him.
he does. He does. His clothes and his picks speak for him, and that's all he needs. I will say though, no offense to everyone else, including myself. For some reason, Justin's microphone just hits. I think it's the voice. He's got that deep voice too, but there's something about that microphone. He just sounds really good every podcast. So good on you, Fabling.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. All right, that's enough. Uh, you can quiet down now.
Awkward.
Pebble picks, we are here. One and done. Everyone's here. We know the rules. For those that did not listen last episode, shame on you, but we will go over them again. One and done picks. Yeah, you say you've heard that before, but you haven't heard it like this because we record on Thursdays. So everyone gets a one round head start. We get to know who's playing well, at least for now, and we get to make a pick. You use them, you lose them. You only get to use them one time in the year. It's most money made, and let's see if it's an event with a cut, and you miss the episode. So if one of us is not on the episode, you get to pick from the last place that made the cut. If it is a signature event and you miss the episode, which none of us will be happening, it will not happen to any of us tonight, which is great. If that does happen on a signature event, you automatically get the last place person, which today would put you at 6 over, which is not where you want to be. So, being that everyone is here, I say we let last week's winner go first. So, Fabling, who is your pick for the first For Love of Golf one and done?
I mean, these guys are going low.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
this is a U.S. Open golf course. Clearly, you can see how differently it plays in February versus June.
Well, and Spyglass too. Like that's not an easy golf
That's
course.
true. Multiple courses, yeah.
Um, this I don't know if I want to burn this one so early, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna go with Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
Wow.
That was
Interesting
not what I
choice.
was gonna
Where is
say.
Tommy
Yeah,
Fleetwood?
where is he?
He's
You're going all
five
the way to.
under,
Keep
leaders 10 under,
scrolling.
so he's five back.
Okay.
Wow.
I
Just
need to.
just just worry about where he's gonna be on Sunday.
That's
Mm.
right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Look, he gets one fake win and he starts talking. All right. Fabling Fleetwood. Got it. Noted. Ryan, who you got?
I am not gonna burn a big name this week, even though there's a ton at the top of the leaderboard already. So it may not be a wise decision, but I am gonna go and maybe he'll forgive me for not considering him a big name. I'm gonna go Nick Taylor.
Okay. All right. I think that's a sneaky pick there. 7 under, Nick Taylor.
Why not?
Okay.
Similar thought process. I don't think I'm going to go with a big name yet. I don't. So I think I'm going to take. I mean, he's a big name. He's won a major. I shouldn't say he's not a big name, but I think I'm going to take Keegan Bradley because he's in second place and
The Ryder Cup captain.
Ryder
He's
Cup
not a big
captain.
name, but I'm gonna take him.
You know what I mean? Like he's not one you would expect to win a bunch of PGA Tour events. Let's put it that way. Right now, in his current point in his career, although he had a heck of a year last year, that's for sure.
He did win last year.
He did win last year, yes.
Okay, so no name Keegan Bradley
Yeah, exactly.
for Hunter.
Sorry.
With all disrespect, I am gonna choose Keegan Bradley.
Yeah.
And I will go with the hottest player in the world, aside from Chris Gotterup,
I was going to say Chris Godwin.
Oh, he's going.
Ryo Hasatsune.
He's
I'm
going with the
taking the
first
chalk.
round
I'm
leader.
going with the leader. The guy's on a heater. Why not take him while he's hot?
Going wire to wire, you think? All right.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't say that, but I kind of want to take him while he's playing well, because who knows what happens the rest of the year with anybody.
No one wants to go with Scotty Scheffler back-to-back weeks of a
Well,
bad
I
first
mean,
round and then backdooring his way to
yeah,
almost a playoff at the Waste
that I
Management.
mean, I don't that like that was just amazing.
Guy shoots two over, which I didn't think he could shoot over par, and then at the end of the week, he's one out of a playoff.
And he's almost like he was like near dead last after the first round. And then,
Well, not that bad, but
well, at one point during his round, he was like fourth from last.
yeah,
He was so far down the leaderboard, and then he's unreal. He is currently 62nd
he's
out of
only 10
80
shots back.
players.
No
He's
faith
only
in Scotty coming back
he's
from
only
10
10.
back.
I'm saving Scotty. I got faith in him. I'm saving him though.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. But
Okay.
I'm not sure if we actually picked last week, anybody would have taken Scotty at +2 after round one, and he would have gotten you a T3.
Well, it depends on who you ask on if we actually picked last week. So
That's true.
that's controversial. Thanks for bringing that up again.
Well, it didn't affect me.
No, I'm happy with the way things turned out
It
personally.
worked out good.
Well, this was a fun episode. We just finished shooting it. That makes us sound professional when I say it like that. We just shot this episode tonight um, with Tim Reardon. Tim was a Ping employee for what, 45 plus years.
Yeah.
Just a wealth of information and somebody that saw, one of the largest OEMs and largest companies, period, in the golf world go from, kind of a small, quote unquote, small shop to the behemoth that they are now. So it was really interesting, I thought, to hear just the way the company has changed, the um, the way his job changed. Like, you're in it early when you've got a job title. You're like working in the golf ball department, but you're never actually working in the golf ball side of things. It's just like, yeah, we don't need you over here today. Why don't you go work on some club repair stuff or whatever? So I thought that was really interesting. Did anybody have anything that kind of stuck out? I will definitely say the rubber tire, the rubber from the tire story stuck out to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. Definitely just some cool stories of like funny little things that they've done from a club building standpoint and design standpoint that were pretty cool for different scenarios. And as you mentioned when we talk, like it'd be cool to dig more into some of those stories that he has, and just the amount of knowledge that he has about that was pretty insightful. Things that I didn't know about, the trainer thing I had no idea about, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that really kind of was evident was the respect he has for the company, and just the way they go about treating employees, but also how they do business. I think whether you're a Ping fan or not, you will probably walk away being more of a Ping fan.
agreed.
Yeah, and I just have, as somebody who's more interested in numbers than most, I appreciated all of the detail he gave about um, just how they keep track of all of their clubs with serial numbers and all the archives they've got and how much they care about the details and the engineering that goes into their clubs. I think that's one of the things that people struggle with ping is that function over fashion. They're always some of the best engineered clubs around, but people always think they don't look too good. And I think Ping struggled with that early, trying to balance, the best built club versus the best looking club, and they've gone back and forth with that over the years, in my opinion. I think nowadays they have some really good looking stuff, but there's still things that are just controversial with, not controversial, just polarizing on whether people think it looks good or not. But what you will absolutely have is a well-built club, whether you like the way it looks or not, and it's going to perform. And I think that's one of the main reasons that they've been so consistent over the years. And you'll hear him talk about it in the interview is it seems like everything that comes out is just built upon the previous model and not just some new thing they tried. It's got a rhyme and a reason to it.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, and they've they did probably have that uh, function over fashion a little bit back in the day, especially, not having ferrules and just,
Right.
interesting shapes on clubs and things like that. And I feel like they've come into the mainstream now, whereas, I mean, I think the for the most part, like their stuff is very mainstream looking. The drivers have the turbulators like we talked about, which don't bother me. Like I think they make a fantastic driver. And from what I've heard about the 440K, it might be the driver for 2026. So it'd be interesting to see. But this was a really fun episode. So we hope you enjoy it. I have two more mini segments that I'm introducing tonight that you guys have no idea about. First of all, your moonography with Parker. You're looking at about a third of a moon tonight. So
Thank you.
go
Nice.
check
I'm
it out.
curious.
Yeah, I
Yep.
am your resident moonographer. And
Is that an
secondly,
actual word, first of all?
it is now. I don't know.
Just for the segment.
You know what I'm talking about when I say it.
It's true. And I'm not always good with stuff like that. So that's
It was
good.
better than his first attempt, which was Parker Moons.
You got to be careful of that sometimes. So the second segment is where in the world is Ryan Martin? So
Mm,
I have no clue. I think you are at home physically. I really
yeah,
meant
yeah.
behind you, the golf course behind you in your background. But as much as you've been traveling lately, it could be an actual physical assessment of where you are. I
I
do
just
think you are at
started
home.
getting feeling left out with Justin and Hunter with these beautiful backgrounds. So I just started today with my home club, Cedar Point, Suffolk, Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah,
I would have guessed that's Florida looking at it. So
well,
that's your home club. Wow.
that
Okay.
is, yeah.
Well, you're looking at my home club. So, but hey, if anybody's listening and has some strings to pull and you want to give me a home club, feel free. Hey, I'm a free agent. Okay. These guys are all taken. I'm a free agent.
Parker, we wouldn't want to take your America's Guest title away from you. That
That's
would just
right.
tie you
You
down too
know,
much.
I think that bag tag's long been removed from my golf clubs. Fellas, always good to catch up, see and hear everyone, including Justin. And I look forward. I love you, Fab. I look forward to doing this again next week. College episode next week. We all spent some time in college,
Did.
so perhaps
Some of us 5 years.
some of us more than others. Yeah. Yeah. Some of us got big degrees.
Well, it was 5 years on purpose, but it was still worth the time.
Yeah. Some of us have big degrees, and others of us, no names, do not. So congratulations to those of
There
you
are
that
no
do.
small degrees, Parker.
You can probably figure out who the ones are with the big fancy degrees.
Uh,
Well, boys, as always, thanks for showing up.
yeah, Jans, thanks. That was good.
Okay.
Only
Can't wait till
caught,
next week to see who the winner is.
Let's go,
yeah,
Keegan. Let's go, no name Keegan.
yeah. Who?
See if he can make a name for himself this week or not.
Yeah, seriously. It's about time he does something in the world of golf. He needs to
True.
get his name out there a little bit.
It's true. Yeah.
Step up, Captain. All right, boys. Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks Golf WRX. Thanks to Cricket, Hook and Gaff. Ryan, way to sport it. I like that. You're like a watch model.
I know it wasn't going to be a face model.
That's why we're podcasters. All right, boys. We'll see you next week.
Later,
See ya.
Jans.
See ya. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of For Love of Golf, Season 2. We are fully assembled here. This is a large group of folks on here that I'm very excited to have on. So, welcome to the guys that are normally on here. And we got a great guest today, Tim Reardon. Tim's a longtime Ping employee. And I think probably bounced around in multiple areas at Ping. Tim, you can correct me if that's wrong, but we really appreciate you coming on here and giving us some insight into kind of your career and Ping as a whole. So when we get started, we like to ask everybody for a little bit of background and bio, kind of how you got into the game. So why don't we start there? We won't get into the Ping days yet, but kind of tell us about where you're from, where you grew up, and how you got into golf in general.
Well, it's started many years ago. Um, I grew up down in Phoenix and the home of Ping worldwide headquarters. I was actually in the golf business prior to that as a teenager. I was working at a golf course, and I used to frequent Ping on occasion to go and pick up clubs. And that kind of just one thing led to another. And so I started with Ping in 1979. So I was right out of high school, going to college, started there. And then, that was really a good time for Ping because it was a small company. It was still a very small company. And they were growing and they grew fast in those years. So um, just retired from Ping in July of 2025. So from 1979. Did I say that right? Correct earlier? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
1970.
Yeah.
It was 79 to 2025.
Yeah, that's a long time. So it's 1979. Can you give us a little bit of history, just where the company was kind of at that point in time? Obviously, things and a lot of people listening might not know the story of kind of moving from California to Phoenix and that kind of thing. So can you fill us in a little bit on kind of where the company started and how it moved into like the time frame to when you joined?
Well, Karsten started making his first putters in 1959 in Redwood City, California. And he was working for GE. He was an engineer by trade, worked on a lot of projects for GE, and then they moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, and he was actually starting to produce putters out of the garage of his house. And we were kind of fast forwarding from 1959 into the 60s here, mid 60s, and his big breakthrough was obviously the Ping Answer putter, which was 1966. So he was making those in Scottsdale, and then shortly thereafter they moved to the Phoenix location on West Desert Cove.
Okay. Was that time frame between 59 and 66? That would have been kind of when the Model 1, I guess, the original Ping was kind of created at that point
Well,
in time.
the Ping 1A was like 1959, and and then he had various models in between the Ping 1A up until the Answer. The Answer was the one that really took off, but everything kind of evolved and got into where he was with the Answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I think that's a good little background
Yeah.
on the company.
So I've lost you guys on my screen. Is that where I'm supposed to be?
We've got you. Um,
Oh,
it may it may kick off depending on how you've got your view set up.
oh, okay. That's fine.
It might let you choose gallery view, and that'll let you see everybody.
Yeah, let's see here. We can keep talking and I'll just keep fiddling around with it.
Okay.
We're not that pretty to look at anyway.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
So when you were joining the company and it was growing quickly, what jobs did you have in the beginning? Was it just something you kind of were able to try different areas and see what you liked, or did they have you in a certain place or position? How did your role evolve over
Well,
time?
I was very, that's a great question. I mean, I was very lucky because first of all, they kind of knew me from my visits to the factory, and they hired me. Again, that was 1979, and I was hired into the golf ball department. And they really didn't need my help because the golf ball business at that time, it was very slow. It was kind of up and coming. So I would come to work every day, and I wouldn't always work in the golf ball department. They would say, "Hey, today you're going to go to iron grinding." So I would work a couple days in iron grinding, and then every day I'd report to work at the golf ball department, and they would tell me where to go. And over the course of the first year or two, I mean, I worked in just about every department, and and did just about every process. I didn't particularly like that because I never knew what I was walking into, but actually it was a blessing in disguise because I became very familiar with all the processes and everything. And um, after about 2 years being employed, um, I was transferred into the club repair department. So that's where all the clubs come in. And you're dealing with the public. The public's coming in, they're getting their clubs regripped, adjusted, reshafted, all sorts of repairs. So I moved into the club repair department. That probably would have been 81 or 82. So uh, all that prior training, the prior 2 years really helped me, move into that department because I could do everything. And you kind of needed to do everything in that department.
Did you enjoy being in club repair? Were you there for a long time, or did you start
Well,
to grow out of that?
I ended up taking it over because my original supervisor there, he moved on to different things. So I just kind of slid into his position, and the repair department was great because you weren't at a station doing the same thing day in, day out. There was a lot of variety. You were working with the public, uh, and you were working with tour players. So when the Phoenix Open, at that time it was the Phoenix Open, it was at Phoenix Country Club, and the LPGA events would come to town. Our department would take care of the tour players. So it was great around tournament time.
Cool.
The other thing that department allowed me to do was get to know our distributors from all around the world. So when the distributors from uh, Europe, Asia, Australia, they would come to town and they would send them to that department, to the repair department, and we would kind of train them on things, on how to do loft and lie and make sure they were up to snuff on regripping and stuff like that. So it was kind of a multifunctional department. It was really very cool to meet all these people who were selling the Ping products in foreign countries.
Sounds like a cool opportunity.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so getting the opportunity to be around so many different people, so many different departments, and then being there from so early on in the company, I bet you have some stories. Are there any ones that are kind of top of mind that you want to share around just the beginning of the company?
I think it's really not a story, but just an example. In the repair department, when I first got there, the packages would arrive every day, and back then it was just by post office or UPS, and we would get 10 to 15 packages every day. And when I left that department 17 years later, we were getting about 250 packages a day. So there was a big growth spurt in that time, not only from the service aspect, because the more clubs you send out, people want adjustments on, grips wear out, they would send them back to us for regrip. The whole company grew dramatically during that time. And that was during the I2 days. You get into, I think the I2 came out in the early 80s, and that's when things really took off. So it was great to see. I'm blessed to be a part of this company over the years, but just to see the growth, and it was a mad scramble just to keep up. That's what was great about the factory, was even though we weren't in the manufacturing aspect of it, our department, there were times we had to chip in. They'd roll a rack of sets of irons in for that needed to have grips put on, and we'd help out. That's just what that factory was all about.
Yeah, it's very cool. Hunter here, Tim. Thanks for being on, and good meeting you.
Yeah.
Ping's played a kind of a special role in my life. I'm not on staff with Ping, but I've always enjoyed Ping. They've helped me out personally from a teaching perspective a ton. I've learned so much from Eric Hendrickson and
Oh
Paul
yeah.
Wood and Marty and Chris Brody and all those guys. And I just wanted to say, like, props to Ping as an engineering company, and kind of what you're talking about with Karsten being an engineer, and like how valuable the information that Ping in general shares when it comes to fitting or teaching or questions that we have as golf professionals to get people better at golf and more involved in golf. And it's just kind of incredible how much information they share, and it shows a bit about the company that they do that, because there's not any other really that do a ton of that. So that's pretty cool.
Right.
First of all,
Well, and
yeah.
if you go back to the inception of the company, what did Karsten want to do? He wanted to help people play better by designing clubs that would help them play better. And it was all about quality. It was all about innovation. It was all about evolving the products. And we fast forward, the company is 65 years old, and I say we, I'm no longer part of the company.
You can
But
say we after.
I think if you're
but-
there as long as you are,
46
you're
years.
forever part of the company.
yeah,
You can
and
say
I've got
we.
you guys back, so I can see you now.
Cool,
Okay.
cool,
Sorry
fair.
about that.
No, it's great. It's better. But that was Karsten's big deal, and besides helping people play better golf, he wanted to create jobs, and he's done that worldwide. And back in the day, everything was made in the United States. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, everything has moved out of the States as far as equipment goes, but they're still doing all their assembly there.
Mhm.
And to your point, Hunter, the things that those engineers come up with, it astounds me. They're so smart, they're innovative. Ping hires the best people they can find. And it's funny, we would go once a year, we would go to a sales meeting, and you get a couple engineers up there, and they're trying to explain to a sales force,
For sure.
the features and benefits of a new driver, a new putter. And it's like all of a sudden you start to see the hands raise up. It's like, you got to dumb this down for us a little bit. We're the terminology, the big words they use, we don't understand them all. But no, I mean, to this day, that still carries forward, is my point. It's cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've shared in that experience before talking to those guys as well too. They've had to dumb it down for me, no doubt as well.
Yeah.
But to that point, like what were some of the early innovations that set Ping apart from other competitors and helped golfers and helped gain traction as a company from what you remember?
Well, we always kind of defer to the perimeter weighting um, on the irons. And what's cool about the irons is, even if you go back to the original, gosh, you could go back to the forged um, answer iron. Karsten bought the forgings and he milled out the back
Hmm.
to create a cavity. And I've got one over in the corner over here by chance, but it evolved from there into the I2. So the cavity backing on the irons certainly helped the average golfer on mishits. It pushed the weight out to the edges. It was more forgiving and on mishits, and you could say the same for the woods, and you could say the same for the putters. I mean, you look at the original Ping 1A putter, and it was just weight out on the toe and weight out on the heel, and it stabilized the head, and it just it putted better on mishits. So I would talk about perimeter weighting first and foremost.
Yeah, there's been several things as we've discussed, and even more that obviously Ping has kind of been at the forefront of. And I think of another one of those, obviously the perimeter weighting is huge, and cavity back irons, but I also think about like the fitting
That was
with the
going to be my
color
next
code
one.
system. Yeah,
Yep.
so where you like, I don't know when that kind of evolved. Do you have any information on kind of like when that idea was like tossed around on like the different color codes?
Yeah, I know the original Karsten 1 iron, the first cast iron, that came out, I believe, in 1969, 69, pardon me. In the very first few sets, I think they were calibrating them. They had to calibrate them because they had to calibrate the loft and lie, but I would have to look it up. But the color code system was in the early 70s.
Hmm.
So, and we used to have a filing cabinet there. Everything's computerized now, but every time a club would come back to be reshafted in the repair department, we went to this filing cabinet, and each set had a serial number on it. And we would go to that file so we could look up the specs so we knew what to repair the golf club to. And I remember early on, and I'm pretty sure 70, 71, I would have to look it up, but the code chart was around for a long time. And I mean, even in those early sets, you look at grip sizes, the lengths of the shafts, the angle of the shafts. So club fitting is the groundwork for ping. It's what everything is based off of.
Well, and I have to think, and I may be wrong on this, but I feel like even the concept of like serial numbering and keeping up with all that probably wasn't super well used with a bunch of other companies during the day, at least for, I would think on tour. I mean, you hear people, they're grinding their own clubs and bending
Right.
their own, on the curb and things like that. So I mean, I would have to think Ping has probably been the biggest user of that for the longest time. As far as just being able, and even today, I mean, I have a couple putters that I've asked or other people have asked about specific serial numbers, and Ping can send you. I don't know if they want to do this a lot, but send you the specs,
Right.
a lot of information about it just based on the one serial number from one club. So the record keeping has to be
Well, the
amazing.
database has got to be huge because
Yeah.
everything is serialized nowadays. And it used to be just iron sets, and the old laminated woods had serial numbers on them, and we were always able to track where those were shipped to, what date they were shipped, what date they were built, and the specs of the club. So if a person lost a club, we could easily, as a company, get it replaced for them, get the same specs. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Going back for a second to the perimeter weighting, because it was such a drastic change to what everybody was used to, and it was such an innovative thing. If I think by the time you came on at Ping, I think it had probably been around for a decade or so, but do you remember, you know, what the world of golf was like and the news surrounding that innovation? Was it something that was adapted quickly among tour players or just quickly among the public? Or what I've never known a world in golf without perimeter weighted clubs.
Right, right.
What was that time like in the golf industry, and how did that affect both the public and the touring pros when that first came out?
Well, I think progressionally it was, I mean, the progression of when the clubs came out with perimeter weighting and when they really caught on. I mean, the very first K irons, the K series, they had a smaller cavity in them. And so they were more forgiving than what was out there in the marketplace for sure. But to the consumer's eye, I think back then, and I remember seeing the a Ping iron for the first time, it was like, what is this? It's not shiny. It
Yeah.
doesn't have a ferrule. It's got this big hole in the back. I mean, I remember that vaguely because it's been so many years ago. And then as the club evolved into what we know as the I and the I2, that cavity got bigger, and the club got a little bit sleeker looking. And so then it became more popular, and then tour use obviously helped. People started winning with the I2 iron, and that's what really, I think, helped a lot. Tour presence was a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still is.
And if you look, you can look at that with metal woods too. I mean, and you're probably too young, but it used to be wood woods,
Yeah.
but now it's metal woods, and they're huge
A
size.
little different than those laminated I2 woods, huh?
Yeah, well, back in the day, though, people would say, well, I don't know if I could play with that club because the head is so large. Now you
Hmm.
set that down to a modern day driver, and it's teeny tiny.
That was back when a lot more skill was required, I feel like.
Yes, yes.
Hunter can argue with me on that a little bit,
No,
but
no, no. I
that's
don't, I
I
don't
miss
necessarily
those
disagree with
days
that.
of
Yeah.
small heads and spinny golf balls.
So, do you like hickory shafts too, or are you
I
into
do. I
yeah,
do. I
nice.
do. I play a little hickory golf on
That's a
occasion.
big thing. We've got a big tournament out on the Oregon coast here. They do every year, and it's a big deal.
It's fun. Yeah, it's I've had some good times with it. There's a lot of people that play, and it's a totally different game. You have to play
Yes,
everything's just very different. Putting is fairly close, but everything else is pretty different.
I'm afraid to try because I have a hard enough time with the modern day stuff.
Hey, it gives you an excuse though.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, that could be a whole nother podcast we can do one
Right.
time. Um, so I think the word that comes to mind first for Ping, I think it is innovation. We've said it probably 20, 30 times already. Um, and Ping has created some of the most popular designs in the history of golf. But when a company is innovative, sometimes it takes a little while for things to catch on, or for the design to grow on people. I'm a little bit ashamed to say that it took a while for me to really appreciate ping. When I was in high school and college, didn't really get it until, today I've got 13 ping clubs in the bag. Um, uh, uh, to your recollection, are there any designs that you can think of that didn't really hit right at first, but then really caught on?
Well, I could be wrong on this, but I remember the I-2, you know, right out of the gate. It seemed a little lukewarm from my perspective, but then it really took off. But if I look at all the models as we progress through all the models, I can't think of one that lagged because it was all evolution. That's how Karsten created new products, and John, and now John K. Everything evolves, and this is what we have today. And how do we make it better? And that's where the engineers come in and the testing comes in. And sometimes it's three or four things that it takes. Sometimes it's looks, and it goes a little bit further and a little bit straighter, and your launch window and your landing window is a little bit different, but it's always about improving. And that's the one thing that I always enjoyed being with Ping was you knew that whatever was coming out next was going to be better, measurably better than what we were selling before. And there was no taking steps backwards. It all tests out and it all performs better.
I feel like Ping was kind of one of the companies, and I could be, misremembering, but it felt like Ping did a nice job of not getting involved in like the time I've got to have a new driver out every year, every certain amount of time, and a new set of irons spring of this year and new wedges. I feel like you said, it was measured, and it was okay, when we get this better, whether it's now or later, like we're going to introduce it, but not until it's ready versus just trying to get something out to hit sales numbers.
Well, it seems like Ping just launched a new driver, and I know very little bit about it. It's the G440 K driver, and it is the longest, most forgiving Ping driver that they've ever introduced. And I'm just hearing wonderful things about it. I've talked to a few people who are hitting it. A couple of the reps are playing it, and they say it's unbelievable. Is it 20 yards further? No, it's not 20 yards further, but they like the launch better. It goes a little bit straighter. It goes a little bit further. And it seems like every time we get a new Ping driver and you get out there and you're playing it, I just always revert back to how are the engineers going to make this any better? And
Yeah.
it's an ode to the engineering group back at Phoenix. It's their job is tough because
Oh yeah.
the Ping cycle, their product cycle is about 2 years. So it's like the clock is ticking. You know, what are you guys going to do next? How do you improve on this? And you've got the USGA limitations, and you got to make it look better. You got to make it sound better. You got to make it perform better. How do you do that? And those guys are amazing. And gals, sorry.
Yeah, no doubt they are. It is impressive to think about that stuff, and hearing them talk about it always, like the rough face idea on the driver, like little stuff like that came out that they've come up with that has been innovative for
Can
sure.
you talk about that a little bit? I'm not
Yeah.
what yeah, the rough what are you referencing there, Hubie?
Oh, well, just like the texture of the driver face, and Tim can correct me if I'm wrong here, but essentially this is like Eric explaining this, Eric Hendrickson, PhD, doctor,
Yeah.
very smart,
Good luck.
explaining this to like a bunch of golf pros. So I may be misinterpreting this
You've
slightly.
got an HHB.
Yeah, exactly. But essentially, what they found is that when you have a more textured face on a driver, the ball will do this weird, like reverse oscillation, and you get less spin out of it. So,
And
like the ball almost sticks on the face for a split second in time longer with a driver, and it'll kind of reverse its spin a little bit when the face is textured, and it gave the driver less spin. So, like just kind of one of those weird engineering things that they found.
that's well explained. That's
Okay,
well
yeah.
explained. Yes, they test this stuff. This is how they make improvements. It's like last night I was watching the Olympics and I was watching the ski downhill skiers, and you look at their poles and their poles are bent, and they're bent for a reason. It's so when they tuck them into their body, it's aerodynamically, it's an aerodynamic thing. That's one of the reasons. And the turbulators are the same thing. A lot of people, the first time they look at it, they go, "Oh, what is all this about? This is just something goofy." And it's not. Everything on a ping golf club, it's there for a reason. They don't do anything to just maybe the addition of the ferrule over the years to make it look a little sleeker on the transition of the shaft to the head. But you look at you look at any ping golf club, and whatever you see on there, it's done for a reason.
Just real quick on the ferals. Was that like a was that like an internal fight ever? Like, because I'm sure, people were probably calling for that for years. And, it took until what was the first iron with ferals? I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. I'm trying to think what model that would have been.
I feel like it was like, I mean, was it before eye blades?
Well, I
And
know
then,
the S59, which was kind of
yes,
a blade
that's right.
club, came with
They
ferrules
had
and
them.
without ferrules. You kind of had a choice.
Okay. So maybe right around that time frame.
Yeah.
But do you remember that being like, was that a sticking point? Like, was there ever any conversation like, no, we are not gonna do ferals just because everybody wants us to?
Well, I could be wrong on this, but originally the reason there that ferrules were not on ping clubs was because the plastic ferrules back in the 70s were heavy. And Karsten puts that thing on a scale and he goes, "Oh, that's 2 or 3 grams. I can leave that off and redistribute that weight somewhere else in the club head where it's going to do me some good."
Right.
And now you look at the modern day heads, they all have a notch on the back of the hosel. So that's weight you're removing, and that's the bend point for the loft and lie. So that just makes it easier to bend the golf club at the factory. So you lose weight there, and so the addition of it got to the point with the ferrules. I think the weight became lighter on the materials, and everything was moved around so much. Faces got thinner that it was like we can put a ferrule
Oh,
on it now,
okay.
and it'll appeal to many more people.
It's just another, just an example of what you said, like everything for a reason. Like there's a reason he didn't
Absolutely.
have those on there. So real quick, just you brought up a point that I want to ask about because I've seen him do it. We've been able to go on the van and Greensboro a time or two, and we watch the way that they bend clubs on there. Is that the
Right.
same way they do it in the factory with like the mallet and they
Yep.
beat
In the
them into
wrench.
place?
Yep.
Yeah.
Although back in the day when I was doing it in the factory, you would put the club in the gauge and you'd look at the lie angle, and then you'd put it on another part of the gauge and you'd look at the loft, and then you'd have to calculate it in your head. You'd put it in the vise, you'd hit it flat or upright, and you'd get the wrench and move the loft depending on which way you needed to go, weaker or stronger. Now it's all digitally done. You've got a set of irons, and you put it up to the face of this plate, and it digitally reads it, and it tells you on a screen how far you got to go, flat or upright, weak or flat. And then but you do it the same way. You hit it with a mallet, because what it does is it shocks it into place when you hit it with the mallet and with you bend it with the wrench. So, a lot of metals have memory and they'll go back to where they were, but by shocking it into place, it'll stay. And that's one of the reasons, I guess, where Karsten made that decision. But no, we've always done it that way. But what's great about the new system is who's ever calibrating that set of clubs, they can't move to the next club until the computer tells them that you're within whatever the tolerance is, and it's a pretty tight tolerance. Where before we were always working with eyesight, and it was always very accurate. But again, it's about getting better at what you do, improving on quality. So, answer to your question though is yes, it's the mallet and it's the wrench.
Hmm.
If anybody has not seen the way Ping bends lie on irons, go look it up because it's way different than anybody else does it with your standard like bar. They actually have a mallet and they beat it into place, like you said. It's really,
Yeah,
really
and it's all
fascinating.
based off of the score line.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
It's
measuring point,
that's really neat.
or at least back in the day it was.
That's very cool. Switching lanes a little bit. I think all of us on here have probably dabbled in collecting golf items of some kind. Maybe one of us a little more than the other. Parker for sure. So, but what are some of the like most rare ping clubs that you've come across or seen over the years, or maybe some collectible items that come to mind?
Oh, they're the one that, I mean, there's a handful that people are trying to get their hands on and find. I mean, everybody wants an original Redwood City Ping 1A. But there's some one-off putters out there, and maybe not one-off, but very limited putters that were made in the early days that are very rare, but people just don't know what to do with them.
Hmm.
Our buddy Rick has quite a collection, and he's got some putters that I never knew existed. Some nickel head, like some of the older models that were made, and the original nickel answers. There were very few of those made, and trying to think what else there was. One rare one out there, and I've got one somewhere. Is it's a center shafted. It's a croquet style, and the shaft actually comes up out of the head. It's center shafted. It comes up about a foot or two, and then it bends back to you. And it was designed to use between your legs, but the USGA outlawed that in, I think it was 1961, maybe. It was one of, as I recall, I could be wrong on this, but it was one of Karsten's first run-ins with the USGA.
Yeah, there were a few of those over the years, and Hunter, and maybe not to his fault. A lot of times, I know Phil Mickelson brought some of that on too. Um, like Hunter said, I'm a big collector. Putters have kind of been something that have really interested me over the years. Had Rick on a podcast, probably I guess several years ago, a few years ago at this point, talking specifically about putters. And like you said, he's very knowledgeable, and we may have to get him on here sometime too. But um, you talked about having the croquet putter a little bit. You talked about having one of the original kind of forged irons with the cavity that was milled out. What are some, I mean, for somebody that was at Ping for such a long time, I'm sure you have some pretty cool items in your office or in your own personal kind of collection. Do you have any favorites that stick out that you have yourself?
I have I've kept the croquet putter because Karsten gave that to me.
Hmm.
Ooh, that's neat.
Um, so I would probably never get rid of that. And I do have an old Answer 7 iron, just the 7 iron. And I'm actually going to give that back to the guy who gave it to me. Because what I used to do is I used to save one iron that we would make. So I had irons going back all the way to 1969, just the 6 or 7 iron. And so I could show them to people and you could see the evolution. But I've since given all those away, and I've given everything away. Most of the items I've given back to um, Ping for their archive, because they're
Mhm.
they're working on a museum and back at the factory, and it's a slow moving project. But I have 5 or 6 pieces that they didn't have for the archive, so now they've got them there. So if you ever go to the Ping factory, you got to get into the archive area.
That is a bucket list item for
The
sure.
vault for sure, right?
Yeah.
Well, One of you guys got to know a ping rep. They got to get you in.
There we go. We'll have to we need to make some phone calls on that.
And do you guys have this book?
I do have a copy of that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how can you show that back up to the camera just a second and just show the
Yeah,
side and how thick it is?
it is.
It
It's
is the most amazing book.
it's like 12 pounds, but
It's
it's great.
unbelievable.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of cool information.
I cannot imagine how long that took to put together.
It took a while, but Jeff Ellis did a great job on it, and it's just got some cool information. I was kind of thumbing through it today. Just kind of, it was like memory lane, a lot of this stuff.
Oh, I'm sure. I need to go back and look through mine. I picked up an interesting putter recently that I've never seen from Ping
Okay.
before that I'll have to send you some pictures of. It's a, well, I guess at Ping, I did ask what they called it because I didn't have a model for it, and they called it the Nota Begay putter. And it was
Oh,
basically
yeah.
the bullseye style with a bunch of different weights that you can see in the face.
You
You know,
posted that, didn't you?
I did, yes.
I'd never seen that putter before, so that was a one-off through the works department.
Yeah, that was, I guess Jim Wells built it for him. I tried to look and see. It looked like he had a similar version with maybe different the ping was stamped in a different location in
Yeah.
like 90, no, would that be right? No, 2003.
Okay.
2003.
Yeah.
That he used briefly, and it's got, 4 degrees on both sides, which is cool for Noda. So there's just so many different things. And Rick, like you said, Rick is like super knowledgeable on
Yeah.
those
Um,
old school.
but that's the cool thing about the Ping factory. It's obviously set up to produce golf clubs in large numbers. And the new factory is unbelievable. There's a drone flyover. Um, I don't know if you've seen that, but it's
I
only
don't think I
like two
have.
minutes, but it flies through the factory. And
Oh, that's
they
cool.
just finished the factory. The factory used to be, they bought a building at a time over the years. And so you'd have shipping over here and you'd have another building over here. And it didn't really flow real well, but now it's unbelievable. You've got receiving, you got a warehouse, and it just flows all the way through to shipping now. And there is a video out there. I'll try to find it for you. But my point was yeah, the factory's set up to obviously produce golf clubs, but when you get that tour player in who says, this is what I can you make this for me? So I'm sure they do some one-offs for people. And that's what I think. I'd never seen that Nota Begay putter. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. I hadn't seen it either, and I'm fascinated by the Jim Wells stuff, and it goes back to one thing I really like about Ping, and we talked about it earlier. It's just, and they've been so nice over the years. I've had a couple Jim Wells putters now, and every time I've like I kind of wanted to know about the putter, who it belonged to. I've
Right.
reached out and sent the serial numbers, and they got back to me and just gave me the information. And it was really neat to be able to
Right.
get that. And,
Yeah.
I think just the record keeping side of that and the fact that the Jim Wells putters, for anybody that's not familiar, Jim Wells was kind of, I guess you would call him like the tour rep, the putter guy, tour fitter for Ping, as far as putters goes for a long time. And any putter that you see that has most of the time it's on the face, I guess, the JW serial number, and they're coded. So I think it's, like JWP would be for PGA Tour, and then it's the
Right.
year, and then it's the order number from that year or something like that. It's
Yeah, I'm not sure
very,
how they do that, but they've got all the information and they probably have it right there in the database for you. So they could tell you the specs and everything. It's
yeah,
cool.
it's really all the way down to, obviously they've got like I think, length, loft, lie, the original grip that was on there.
Yeah, weight's going to
Uh,
be on there.
it's
And there'll
it's
be
really
some
neat.
notations if they got tungsten weights and what the gram weights are. They're pretty thorough with that stuff.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Well,
but just takes a couple seconds.
Yeah.
so given the fact that Ping places so much emphasis on record keeping and serial numbers and things like that. I'm guessing the answer to this next question is no, but just out of curiosity, have there ever been any Ping prototypes that have ever been lost and then rediscovered, or is everything pretty
Yeah,
well
I'm sure there have
remembered?
been over the years, because you're trusting in tour players, you give them a prototype and it's up to the tour rep to get it back if they don't want it. So I'm sure something over the years has leaked out, but I don't know if I can't think of anything offhand that
Yeah, I would
was
guess that's
detrimental.
unlikely, but just didn't know if in all the years you've been there, if any of those had come to mind. But I bet if there's one out there, somebody might be after it from a collectability standpoint.
And now you've got so many, like our sister company here with Golf WRX Radio, and Golf WRX, they're doing, they're out there essentially every week taking pictures. And Ping's got a new mini driver prototype out right now
So I saw that.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, that they've got really good pictures of, and in hand stuff. So it's hard for stuff to slip through anymore, I feel like, especially. But like you
Yeah.
said,
Well,
Ryan,
and
back in the day, you never know.
yeah, you got to keep stuff under wraps, but then when the time is right, you use it to your advantage,
That's right.
you know,
That's exactly right,
free marketing.
for sure.
Yeah.
What about on the putter side? What are some of the models that are the most valuable for collectors?
Well, it seems like, obviously the Scottsdale Answers, the original Scottsdales, not so much the remakes. They did a remake in, I forget what year it was, maybe 1999. I could be wrong there, but those putters were actually cast in the original molds. So people do like those, but the original Scottsdale Answers seem to be the one that commands the most, um, for collectors. Everybody in all the social media posts I see, it's people get pretty excited when they get their hands on an original Scottsdale Answer. But then there are some others that have followings, like for a while there, Ping made putters in nickel and beryllium copper, and people really are attracted to those as well.
What's kind of along these lines a little bit, and this is actually not something that I think I'm super aware of either. So I'm excited to learn something. But can you tell us a little bit about the Ping trainer putter? Um,
Ping
and
trainer putter. So
yeah, and how that works.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's in the book. That's what's great about the book is,
Cool.
there's so much information in the book, but what it was an aluminum head and it had weight ports. It had four weight ports, and you could put two weights right in the middle, right in the sweet spot, and you could take them out and you could move them to the heel and toe. And then Karsten had a little wire thing that he would attach to the back, and he could put a pencil on it, and you could take a stroke, depending on where the weights were, if they were out on the heel and toe or in the middle, and you could actually see the head twist. So, that's a good point. That's one. If you could find a trainer, that might be the most prized one. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just I found a picture of it. I'm looking at it now, and the way you're describing it, it's super interesting for sure. So, what was the pencil part and the wire on the
It
back
would it
for?
would draw a line on a piece of paper that you had on the
Gotcha.
ground.
Yeah,
So you'd take a stroke and you'd move the weights around, and you could actually see, if you put a good stroke on it,
yeah,
how the head would twist, and it would leave a pencil mark,
sure.
Hmm.
or it would leave a line. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say from a collectability standpoint, that's the Redwood City Model Ones, and
Yep.
and which are a little bit more prevalent than the Ping trainer. I mean, I don't know how many of the trainers were made, but
There
there's
can't
not
be
many,
many out there.
and they're super hard to find. And here's one I see from, I'm trying to pull it up here. This one was an auction in 2019, so before the big COVID bump. It says produced 1963 to 1964. This one went for, well, the starting price, that one actually didn't get purchased. It went for, starting price was $10,000. And then there's
Wow.
another one from Golden Age Auctions that actually sold in 2018 for $15,000.
Dang.
And which model was that?
So that's the trainer.
That was the trainer.
That
Okay.
was
Yeah.
the trainer. So, it says they called it the Holy Grail of ping collecting.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
it was, let's see, the ping, it says it once sold. I don't know if it's this actual one, but at least a ping trainer sold, back in probably my guess would be late 90s, early 2000s, probably when some of that generation was really collecting, but once sold for over $50,000.
Wow.
So that would be, yeah, if anybody finds one of those out there in the wild, let us know. But it looks, it's built very similarly, obviously, to the 1A, to kind of model it and show you how that works. It's a really neat thing. So check it
Yeah.
out, read the book, and
Yeah,
you
read the
learn
book.
about that. Yeah, you take some time. If you're going to read the book, it's going to take a little time.
And the books are getting hard to find now. I guess they're sold out. They've got some commemorative ones on the Ping website, but I think they're pretty spendy.
Yeah, it was not an inexpensive. I mean, well, I mean, I don't know how many pages it is, but I believe it's called "And
Um,
the Putter Went Ping," right?
yes, and the putter went Ping. And if I go back here, you're over 500 pages.
Yeah, it just on an incredible amount of research. I mean, unbelievable job. He has obviously done a lot of work. I mean, you can find him. I see him online here. It's not a cheap book, $85, I think is the cheapest one I see, but it's a hardcover book with a lot of information. If you're into
Yeah.
learning about ping, I would highly recommend grabbing a copy of that
Yeah, it's one of those that can go on the coffee table and you can just start thumbing through. And
and find something new probably for the
absolutely.
next 40 years.
Yeah.
So Tim, changing gears just a little bit, in all your years with Ping, what are some memorable stories or just things that come to mind for Ping tour players?
Oh boy.
Doesn't have to be on the course, could be just, they came to the shop or, anything.
Well, it's just amazing how down to earth all those people are. They're just regular people, but their business is a little bit different than ours, and most of the people that we dealt with were ping staffers, but every once in a while you'd get a Curtis Strange would come in. I worked with George Archer once or twice. Um, Chip Beck was in, so it was just kind of different. Was really close with Tom Weiskopf, and he never played a ping club, but he lived right there in Scottsdale. So he talked to Karsten, and Karsten said, "Yeah, whenever you want us to put something together for you, come on out." So Tom would come in with boxes of club heads and shafts and grips, and we'd work with him and put his stuff together. Tom Pertzer's a Scottsdale resident, so I'm talking about all older players because I've been away from there for 30 years. So I really haven't been in touch with current tour players for quite a while.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just to give a little bit of light too on your career, you left and got in on the sales side, is that right?
Well, actually, so I was in Phoenix, and because I was in the repair department and I was dealing with distributors all around the world, they kind of chose me because I was single and it was easy for me to travel. I started doing some worldwide travel, so I was blessed to go to Europe. I only went to Europe once, but that was 1989. So I got to go to the British Open. It was the British Open back then, and Calcavecchia happened to win that year, and he was on Ping staff, and got to go over to Switzerland and all through Europe helping our distributors out. But in '93, I started traveling Asia. So from from 80, actually 83 was my first trip over to Asia. And so from 83 to 95, I was back and forth, mainly in Asia, one trip to Europe. So I took care of our distributors in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore. So I spent a lot of time back and forth in Asia, and that
How's your
was
Japanese?
not too good. Not too good. The challenge there was everywhere you went, they wanted to get better at speaking English, and and I wanted to get better at speaking Japanese or Chinese or whatever. But we certainly got a lot more accomplished with them speaking English because I had no clue. I got to the point where I could read a little bit, but those are some tough languages to learn.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think it would be tough to read as well.
Yeah. Well, if you get hungry enough, you learn how you learn how
Right.
to recognize
Yeah,
yakisoba.
that looks like noodles. I'll
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah. You just go to luckily in Japan, a lot of the menus they got pictures. So you just
This one. Yeah. That's great. I think Rick had a story that he brought up in the question thread
yeah.
that you can shed some light on that um, about kind of using some rubber to muffle the sound of the ping the 1A.
Yeah, so the story goes, and it's actually in the book, but so my desk in the repair department was like a stand-up warehouseman's desk. You didn't sit down and you stood up. It was kind of high, and I had a cart right next to there, and the cart was for when parcels would come in. And Karsten he was really funny. He was just such a good guy, but um, he was kind of a strict guy, and but he was fair. But one day he comes back from lunch, and there's a door really close to my desk, and he comes through the door, and that's you go on the other side of that door, and it's the front office. It's where customer service, and so everything was in real close proximity. But he comes through that door, and he has a chunk of rubber, and it's probably 4 or 5 feet long. And what it was just like a retread that came off of a semi truck on the freeway. And I can just envision him pulling over and picking that up.
I feel like I've done that for some stuff my wife's bought on Facebook Marketplace or
There
something.
you go.
You should pick up stuff on the side of the road.
Yeah. So he comes in and he plops it down on my cart and he says, "Hang on to this. I need it." And he says, "I got to go to a meeting." So here I got this piece of rubber, this chunk. I mean, and so I move it out of the way. I move it over to like the loft and lie table. And then I got to do a loft and lie job. So now I got to move the piece of rubber back. And all day long, this piece of rubber gets shuffled around. So then it's time to go home. And I just put it where he left it because when Karsten says, "Hang on to this," you hang on to it. So I left it there and I come in the next morning and it's still sitting there and it's in the way. So I rolled it up as best I could, duct taped it up, and and I put it up on a shelf. And I seem to recollect it was like 3 months later. He comes up to me and he goes, "Where's that piece of rubber I gave you the other day? I need it." And then he says, "You didn't throw it out, did you?" I said, "No, Karsten, I got it right here." So I get it down off the shelf, and he goes, "Take that tape off of there. We gotta unravel this thing." So we unravel it. And Karsten always carried a little Swiss Army knife with him. I mean, didn't go anywhere without a Swiss Army knife. And he shaves off two little strips of that rubber retread, and they were like toothpick size. And he goes, "Perfect, just what I needed." And he walks away. So he goes to the front office, and I'm like, I got to see what he's doing with this. This is ridiculous. What is this all about? And there was a woman in the front lobby, and she had one of the original Ping putters, and the original ones would really ring really loud. And all of her playing partners were threatening to not play with her anymore because the putter was driving everybody nuts. So he took the two pieces of rubber and he pushed it in the gap to silence the putter. So the woman got a ball and hit it, and that's perfect. And so the life, the world is in great shape here. This woman comes in, Karsten has solved the problem. So I go back to my desk, and it's like I roll it up, tape it up, put it back on the shelf. Probably 6 months later, where's that piece of rubber at? Karsten's back. He's got somebody else. And so we went through that probably 3 or 4 times because we probably had 1,000 years worth of rubber there that was on the shelf. So I took the piece of rubber up to one of our engineers who was really good at math. And I said, this is what we've used in 2 years. I said, can you measure out 100 years worth of rubber here? And so we kind of marked it off for Karsten. And then one day he was coming by and I said, hey, Karsten, we don't have room for this big chunk of rubber. And I said, listen, we've mapped out 100 years worth at the rate we're going right now. I said, can we just take it over and hit it with a bandsaw and cut this chunk out? And I said, I'll put it in my desk drawer so that way you know exactly where it's at all times. And he goes, well, yeah, we can do that, but I get to do the cutting. I said, you get to do the cutting, boss.
Fine by me.
That's
Well,
fantastic.
those are the kind of the stories that bring me joy
That's
remembering
awesome.
Karsten because he was great.
That's a great story. That was a whole lot more in depth than I thought.
Sorry it took so long to tell.
No,
the
I
story.
love
No,
that.
that was
No,
great.
I love that. Was great.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully another lead here from Rick. But is Wedgie Winchester, heck of a name, by the way, first of all.
Yeah.
Who's a well-known name in the world of ping. Can you shed some light on the driver that was made for him?
Well, the Wedgie lives out at the Oregon coast and he plays out at Gerhardt Golf Links where they do the hickory shaft competition. And Wedgie's in his 80s now, but yeah, there were a couple of us at Ping that used to build all of his clubs. We had club heads that were attached to a spring that was attached to a shaft. We had double-headed clubs, so the ball would cross in the air, either left or right or up and down. I mean, we were always just trying to come up with something new. We had the old material that was in the insert of the laminated woods. It was an epoxy. It was a liquid epoxy, and we would fill a tennis ball with that and then let it cure and grind it off. And he could hit shots with that thing. He was unbelievable. But I forget when it was. It was early 90s, I think. And he came to me and he said, I need something new for the act. I need something that I can hit a long ways. And I mean, I'm running a department with 20 people. I'm busy, we're just trying to keep up, and Wedgie's in my face every day he goes, I need something that I can dial long distance. And when he said that, I was looking at the headset to my phone. And so I got this idea is I would take all the guts out of the headset and I would insert a shaft and then I would fill it with that red epoxy. And so that way everybody who would look at it, so that where the earpiece was, that was the face. And that's where you would hit the ball. And so he would pull this telephone out of his bag. And I found a picture not too long ago, and you can kind of see it. And he hit that thing. I mean, the thing weighed a ton because you fill a telephone headset up with that epoxy. It's heavy, but he could hit it a long way. The problem was it wasn't very durable because all the plastic would start. So I probably made 4 or 5 of those, and over time they just kind of disintegrated. But he liked that driver because it did go a long way. But that was kind of his tagline. He goes, yeah, when I really want to hit it a long way and I really want to dial long distance, and then he pulls out his telephone clubs.
That was awesome.
But yeah, his act was great.
That's fantastic. Oh, thanks, Rick, for bringing those to our attention. I had not heard those two stories. So,
Yeah.
We will. I've got one more for you, and
Yeah.
you've been very gracious, and I would love to have another a part two run at this sometime if you'd be
Yeah,
up
we
for
could
it.
do it
But
whenever you like.
that's awesome. Yeah, obviously the answer is what many people think about when they think ping. I mean, that
Yeah.
was completely changed the game. And there's a lot of other things that we talked about that ping did as well, but the answer probably sticks out to most people just because you still see it so much to this day in other forms. Everybody's seemingly had a version of it that's made a putter just about. Um, what do you think Karsten would think about the legacy of that putter and just the company in general? From where he was, what we're coming up on 70 years ago.
Yeah, we all of us non-engineers, we would look at the I-2 and it's like, how do you make a golf club better than that? And Karsten always believed, at least he told me, that processes will change, technologies will change. I think he'd be amazed. He'd be happy. He'd be smiling for sure. Yeah, he would. I mean, if Karsten had the tools, I mean, talk about a brilliant mind. If he had the tools that the engineers have these days, there's no telling what he could accomplish.
Yeah, it's an amazing company, and I would suggest, like we've talked about, anybody that is interested, go find the book. And also, I know you talked about those anniversary models of the Ping Answer. There was a 50th anniversary model that came out in 2016 that I think is probably one of the coolest things that you can get as a putter collector these days for the price. They were very limited. I think they made, I want to say 775 of each model. There's the two different molds.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yep,
I believe it's what the A and the K mold, I believe, and they're all
right,
hand ground soles. So they
yep.
use the same molds that they had from 50 years prior, and then all the soles were hand ground by a Solheim, if
By
I'm not
John
mistaken.
Solheim,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just a really cool. They come in a beautiful box with an awesome leather head cover, and they're kind of updated to today's like weight. There's weights in the face, kind of like the Ping Works department would put in. So go check those out. Those can be had for probably the $400 or something like that, which is the cost of a non-limited putter from a lot of manufacturers. But um, the answer has been Ping's calling card for many years, and the company just continues to innovate, like we said. And we are big fans on this show of the company. I think um, you can tell that. Hopefully, the listeners can tell that. And I think that just comes from the way the company's run, to the quality of the product, to the quality of the people, and the just everything is just kind of first class. And like Hunter said, and kind of like what I've said earlier, like the willingness to share information, you don't find that from a lot of companies. Like there would be people that for putters, like I was talking about, they would protect that information. Like,
Right,
hey, like
mhm,
you don't need to know about that. That wasn't
right.
built for you. You don't need to know about it. And I wondered if that was the response that I would get, and it was not. It was like,
Totally
here's the
opposite.
information. Yeah, it's just a wonderful company, and obviously you got to spend a lot of time there, and you spent a lot of time with us tonight, and I really appreciate you being willing to come on and
Oh, anytime.
give some ideas about the great company. And like I said, I would love to do another version of this and do a deep dive into your time with Ping even further and some of the kind of one-offs and just weird things like the deal with Wedgie Winchester and stuff like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I'll tell you what, Ping is a fabulous place to work. They care about their employees. It's all about making good products. And I've sent a number of people there to work there from out of state, and their biggest worry is because they're younger people. It's like, well, I don't know anybody down there. It's like you don't have to worry about that, because if you start working at Ping after day one, you've got five new friends, and then after day two, you've got a Ping family. So it's can't say enough about the Solheim family. They're awesome.
Well, that's great to hear. What are you doing in your retirement?
Well, I'm working on a few things, but I've only been retired since July, so I'm trying to figure it out still. It's you go from getting 30, 40 emails a day to none, and your phone is usually ringing off the hook, and now it doesn't ring off the. I still talk to my crony guys, but and I still talk to a few customers that we're really close with, but yeah, it's just really quiet, so I'm kind of getting used to that.
Yeah, you got to learn how to retire, right?
Yep, yep,
Well, we really appreciate this. Again, this has been awesome, Tim.
yeah,
You've been awesome. Thank you for the insight, and
absolutely.
we look forward to doing it again.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All
Yeah,
right,
thanks,
Thank
thanks,
Tim.
you.
Tim.
Appreciate
All
it.
right. Take care.